Hello and welcome. My name is John Kaliski. I'm an architect and urban designer who has been designing housing and housing policies since the early 1990s. I practice with my firm JKA. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about the design of housing, or residential types. Understanding a full range of types will allow for a robust community discussion of what housing types make sense for Fullerton. A full range of housing types is needed to accommodate young and old, working and retired, persons with disabilities, families with varied incomes, single adults, students, workers, employers, all of whom need different types of housing at different times of their lives. Creating housing opportunities for the widest spectrum of people, regardless of background, is good policy because it has been shown to support better education outcomes, increase household savings, as well as enhance the stability of communities. Different residential types also provide opportunities to best fit new housing within existing community contexts, which is particularly important in a city such as Fullerton, where new development often occurs within areas that are already largely developed. A common but misleading way to discuss housing is to define it solely by a number, such as dwelling units per acre. Dwelling units per acre is a complex metric because it is driven in part by the size of the units contained within the structure, independent of the form of the building. In this regard, think of a pie as a site or building lot. How big or small you cut the slices determines how many portions or units you get from the pie or the lot, respectively. You could cut 6 big pieces or design 6 big residences, or you could decide to cut 12 smaller pieces or design 12 smaller units. Regardless of how many pieces of pie you cut or homes you design, at the end of the day, you are cutting or designing from the same finite piece of pie. Like the pie, and as shown on the left of the screen here, the same building form could have 1 unit or 4 units. Similarly, the photos on the bottom right of the slide show 2 4-story buildings over subterranean parking, both utilizing the same residential type, except one has a residential dwelling density of 85 units per acre, while the other is designed with 105 dwelling units per acre. The 85 dwelling unit per acre project is a mix of studio, 1, and 2-bedroom units, while the 105 dwelling unit per acre project, though the same number of stories, consists almost solely of studio units. Another key term is affordable housing. This term describes housing units that are affordable to people with income below the median household income. Units that are not affordable are referred to as market rate. Affordable units can be for sale or for rent, or may be included within a market rate development, or may be built as a 100% affordable development. Both speaker series number 1 and number 2 provide a more in-depth discussion about affordable housing. I mention affordable housing in this presentation because one of the myths of affordable housing is that it will look cheap and undermine community character. Affordable housing must comply with the same design standards and building code requirements as market rate housing. Affordable housing is not affordable because it is built with low quality materials. It is affordable because it provides a housing option to households at a cost they can afford. Throughout this presentation, I will point out which projects are affordable and which are market rate. As an example, here you see 2 projects that were designed by the same architect and are more or less the same design. One is affordable and the other is market rate, with no discernible difference in appearance or quality. I now want to walk through a series of residential projects and use them to explore a range of residential types that Fullerton should consider for expanding housing opportunities. As we look at these examples, imagine how they fit or don't fit varied Fullerton contexts. Are there types illustrated that should be introduced into Fullerton to address housing goals, policies, and programs? Let's take a look. While there remains strong demand for detached single-family homes, the cost of land and construction leads housing developers to look for new ways to build. Exemplifying this trend, Liberty Walk, just west and south of downtown Fullerton, provides 36 traditional tract homes, all on small lots. Attaching 2, 3, or 4 single-family homes together in a combination of 2 and 3 stories creates a duplex, triplex, or quadplex residential type. Oftentimes, this type has the appearance of a traditional single-family home. Liberty Walk includes 8 duplex units in 4 buildings fronting the street. Each unit has an attached 2-car garage. With the combination of the detached and attached homes, Liberty Walk provides 44 total units. Here are examples of a duplex, a triplex, and a quadplex built on individual residential lots. Each is designed to fit into its existing residential surrounds. The duplex example shown is a renovation of an older home that had fallen into disrepair. This project, Mission Meridian Village in South Pasadena, includes single-family and quadplex residential types, as well as other housing types on a 1.65-acre infill site adjoining an existing single-family residential neighborhood. All of the parking for the total of 67 units is underground. Fair Oaks Court in Pasadena is another example of the duplex, triplex, or quadplex residential type. Notice how the units are oriented towards the sidewalk and street. Here we see an example of the tuck-under type. The tuck-under type typically rises to a maximum of 3 stories and places the cars at the ground level in individual garages. When the units are placed side by side, the tuck-under type may include many units in the design of larger projects on bigger sites. The tuck-under design illustrated here is in Los Angeles. The project provides 8 tuck-under and side-by-side townhouses on a 150-foot deep by 50-foot wide lot adjoining a 20-foot alley with garage access. The Persea project in Vista, California is a for-rent tuck-under type with garden and townhome-style apartments placed on a larger property. As you can see from the site plan on the right, the project utilizes a landscape and surface parking to buffer the adjoining single-family residences. Parking at Persea is provided either in surface areas or individual residential garages. A variation on the tuck-under type is the Shopkeeper or live-work type, which provides for a ground floor commercial or office space below a residential unit above. The ground floor space can also facilitate work-at-home space, which can accommodate changing work patterns. Santa Ana has two examples. The first is the Santiago Street Lofts. The second is the City Place Live-Work Lofts. Both include a two-car garage. The Courtyard type draws inspiration from early 20th century precedents. The four examples that I'm going to show are from Pasadena, which is famous for its bungalow courts and historic courtyard apartment complexes. It is noteworthy that while each utilizes the courtyard type, they all employ different architectural styles, highlighting that a building type is not tied to an architectural style or vice versa. The first example is the Meridian Court project, which clusters attached townhouses and stacked flats above a court over underground parking. The second, by the same architect, is the Mission Meridian Village project. We previously looked at this project's duplexes and quadplexes. This project also features units clustered around courtyards. Another Pasadena example, Monaco Terrace, combines the courtyard type with California contemporary styling. Fair Oaks Court, whose street-facing quadplexes were earlier illustrated, also utilizes the courtyard type to create a transition between the multifamily units and 8 restored single-family bungalows. The project created a total of 31 new units. Another housing type is the multiplex. This type ranges from 2 stories to high-rises and typically places similar one-story units one over the other. Like all of the other residential types we are illustrating in this presentation, multiplexes are designed in a variety of architectural styles. This first multiplex example is in Brea. This project provides 2 stories of units over a ground level featuring unit entries and 2-car garages. The Formosa 1140 project in West Hollywood is a multiplex that rises 4 stories and provides unique multi-level units. The 11 units are each 2 stories, sit over underground parking, and overlook a community pocket park. This building is wrapped in a multicolored metal scrim that acts as a sunscreen to diffuse light and heat. Another example of the multiplex type is the Villas at Gower, a 3 and 4 story, 70-unit project in Hollywood that provides affordable housing for formerly houseless people and families living with disabilities. Earlier, we noted the intensity of the Olympic Studios project in Santa Monica. This project, like the Formosa 1140 we just looked at, stacks 2 two-story units on top of each other. The units here feature mezzanine bed lofts, and the project as a whole is placed over underground parking. The 3060 project in Los Angeles is another example of a multiplex dwelling type. In this design, residential units constructed with wood construction sit on top of a concrete podium, which contains a 2-level above-ground parking structure. The podium also includes ground floor retail and architectural treatments that hide the parking. The Continental project is an example of a high-rise multiplex on a small site in San Diego. This project provides 42 studio units. To save money, the project was initially designed, given its downtown adjacent location, with no parking. Community input resulted in 11 parking spaces being added in a subterranean level. This change increased construction costs $1 million, or about $90,000 per added parking space. Despite this increase in costs, the developer was also the architect and the general contractor, which resulted in development efficiencies, allowing the rental units to be offered at a cost 10% less than similar market rate apartments in the surrounding community. Here again, we feature the Mission Meridian Village project. This project is in reality a hybrid incorporating several different housing types. Here we focus on that aspect of the project that illustrates the flex block type. The flex block type is similar to the Shopkeeper type as far as building form, but the flex block is distinguished by commercial space on the ground floor that spans all or part of the ground floor. At Mission Meridian Village, the flex block type is used on that portion of the project that is closest to the adjacent light rail station stop. The lined block type is a variation of the flex block type. A liner building is designed to screen or wrap a parking use to improve the relationship of the building to the sidewalk and street by hiding the auto use. The Malden Station project here in Fullerton is constructed with a stand-alone above-ground parking structure placed between two residential buildings. A liner building with additional housing units and ground floor amenity spaces is placed in front of the street side of the garage, here illustrated by the orange box, to hide the garage from view and enhance the sidewalk appearance and pedestrian experience. Malden Station is a market-rate project that includes 10 affordable units at the very low income level. Another strategy for creating housing is to encourage reuse of older buildings. This project in Santa Ana converted an obsolete mid-century office building into new affordable apartments and surrounded it with live-work townhouses. The ground floor of the office building provides on-site amenities including an art gallery and community room. These types of developments bring new residential life to sometimes vacant buildings with low impact to their surroundings. In presenting these projects, I have tried to illustrate that many different types of housing are required to fit the needs of the many different types of households that live and want to live in a community. When considering housing types and housing design in the context of housing policy, communities and decision makers need to consider that one type of housing does not meet all needs and that the full range of types is required to address the full range of issues that communities encounter. In reviewing these examples, I am reminded that one way to foster good housing is to remove barriers to the production of good housing types. As we continue this discussion, it will be important to consider the corresponding development regulations needed to facilitate the range of housing types that we identify as best fits for Fullerton. A second consideration is that design, not exclusively density, matters for the livability of a project and the compatibility of the project to its surroundings. In each of the examples illustrated in this presentation, careful consideration of neighborhood fit, building massing, landscape, and architectural detail not only express a quality project, but also contribute to the community's vitality and residents' everyday life. Third, I hope I've shown that affordable housing is typically indistinguishable from its market counterparts. Affordable housing providers are committed community partners, and they want their projects to express this. We have now gone on a short tour of housing types in Fullerton and other Southern California cities. Hopefully, the examples shown and the ideas presented will help facilitate a housing for the future discussion that will assist you in realizing best housing practices for and within Fullerton. Thank you.